Good morning, friends. It's been a while since I have posted my last video. However, I'm very excited today. Uh, Many friends on my YouTube channel they asked for a demo on Apex Locator and some tips on how to use an Apex Locator. So I'm excited to bring you this new video. So this video will include, first of all, this is a acute setup, acute demonstration setup for how to use an Apex locator, and I shall be giving you some tips also, some clinical tips on how you can verify your readings on the Apex locator. So this video will include we will be discussing the parts of an Apex locator. Then I'll give you some clinical tips also. So first of all, this is the Apex locator I use. This is by the company Dentsply. The name of this Apex locator is Propix Pixie. This is a mini Apex locator. So this is the Apex locator I use in my clinic regularly. The parts of the Apex locator, if we discuss, we have a clip that goes into the patient's lip or touches the patient's lip. This is the patient's clip. Then this is the clip that binds the file this way. I hope you can clearly see. So this tip binds the file. We have the instrument itself, and we have this cord that connects these parts, right? So how Apex locator works is usually, actually this is an electronic device, so it works by electric current, a direct electric current. It will tell you the it will tell you the anatomic apex of the tooth. Now, if someone does not know what is the difference between an anatomic and a radiographic apex, let me show you one X-ray. So I hope this is clear. This is a patient that came to our clinic. So if you clearly see, this is the radiographic apex, right? I hope you can see one. Just a second. Yes. So this is a probe. I'm trying to pinpoint the anatomic apex here. So this is the anatomic apex. I'm sorry. This is the radiographic apex. That is the apex we see on the X-ray, right? This is the apex that we see on the X-ray, or the anatomic apex. So this was previously treated tooth which had a big periradicular radiolucency. So the patient came with a complaint of something odd when he touches his tooth. He felt something odd when he touches his tooth. So this had a big periradicular lesion, and there was no sinus actually, but this was a radiographic finding when we took the X-ray. So this is the radiographic apex, or the apex we see on the X-ray. Now this does not coincide with the anatomic apex. That is what I want to tell you. The apex locators, these tell us the actual apex or the anatomic apex of the tooth. So let me keep this aside. So among the tips for using apex locators, the first tip I would like to give you is always trust your apex locator. So I would always advise buy a good apex locator. Now I am not recommending this one, I'm just using this, so I am taking this for the demo. So always buy a good good apex locator. Your endomotor or anything can be compromised, but your apex locator should be very good. So the first advice I would give you is always trust your apex locator. Now what I mean by that is, for example, now let me show you this case. So what we did is I took out the gutta percha, or the GP. The GP was removed. We put the calcium. When we put the calcium, okay, this is the apex that my apex locator was showing. Okay, this is the apex that is very well short of the radiographic apex. This is the apex my apex locator was showing. So this is with the file. We have the rubber dam clamp. So this is how we put the calcium hydroxide. extruded a bit. However, this was not intentional. This happened accidentally. I did not want to extrude it. I never extrude this material. I do not want to extrude the material. So the calcium hydroxide extruded, but you see, this is our X-ray after 3 months. So what you can see on this X-ray is, just try to see or try to trace the lamina dura. Okay, this is the X-ray with Gattapacha. This is how I have obturated this. Now this is not calcium hydroxide, this is after obturation. Okay, so I've obturated till here only, which my apex locator was showing. This is the apex, my apex locator was showing. So I obturated till, I trusted my apex locator, and I did not obturate till here. Okay, I did not obturate till here. So what I want you to see clearly is, look at this loss of lamina dura. This is the lamina dura, the radiolucent line you can see here on both sides. This is called the lamina dura. So trace the lamina dura. The lamina dura is coming here, and here there is a loss of lamina dura. From here, the lamina dura is going like this. So this is how we trace the lamina dura. This is the extent of our lesion. This is the extent of our lesion. And here the lamina dura joins again and runs this way. Okay, so we have no lamina dura here. However, if we see the X-ray after 3 months, now trace the lamina dura. The lamina dura is coming here. It is going continuous with the tooth. You see, there is a loss. There is a continuous lamina dura here. There is no loss of lamina dura. So this means that our lesion is healing. We can see some bone formation here, but I want you to appreciate that there is a continuity of lamina dura now. So this means that our periradical lesion is healing. The tooth is healing. So where did I obturate? I ended my obturation where my apex locator was showing the apex. So maybe there was some horizontal fracture because this tooth had earlier undergone trauma. So maybe this had some horizontal fracture here. I don't know what, but I stopped my obturation where my apex locator was showing the apex. Okay, so this is how we always trust our apex locator. So this is a small setup that I have made just for a demo purpose. How we use apex locators. We switch on the apex locator. The clip is this clip is put into the touching the patient's lip. This clip, this binds with the file that we are using this way. Okay, so here our apex locator is showing that we have connected our lead or the cord. So we go in just a bit slowly. We try to go inside the canal. This is the apex locator that is showing that we are going into the canal, and we stop right there. We stop right there. If I advance my file, it will show over. That means we are going into the periradicular tissues, which is not desirable actually. So I will stop here. This is 0 mark, or the apex that my apex locator is showing. So I will adjust my stopper. I will adjust my stopper right there. Okay, I will adjust my stopper here such that I know that this is my working length. So I'm taking this cusp as my reference point. So this is my working length. So I will measure this length. Now one advice I can give you, or one clinical tip, is that always your canal should be wet, whereas your chamber should be dry. Okay, your canal should be wet, whereas the pulp chamber should be dry. So what you can do is, you can use some irrigation inside the tooth. You can wet your canals with the irrigant, and then take a small cotton pallet and just damp it here and remove the excess irrigant. Okay, so your chamber should be dry, whereas the canal should be wet. The other tip I can give you is how you can verify your reading is, sometimes what will happen is, while you're doing a case, you must have observed, then when you insert your file, your your apex locator will show the apex, whereas your radiograph can clearly see, on the radiograph you can clearly see that you are well short of the apex. What happens is, sometimes there is a fluid accumulation here. okay, there is some fluid here, or there might be a lateral canal in some cases. There might be a lateral canal which is completing this circuit, and you are not able to identify if this is the actual apex or not. So what you can do is, in those cases, you can always go a little beyond the apex. You can always go a little beyond the apex this way, and then you can come back. Now slowly come back, withdraw your file now. This verifies that your reading is fine now. Okay, this is how you verify that your apex locator is giving a good reading. Okay, again I'll tell you, you go a little beyond, not much, maybe 0.2 millimeters, and then come back. So this verifies that your reading is accurate. Okay, so another tip is that you can always verify your readings. The next clinical tip I can give you is use a file number, a K file that binds the canal. What happens is some people say that the apex locators do not work in open apex cases. What happens is open apex cases are already they have a wide canal tip, okay, wide apex tip. So it corresponds to maybe 80 number K file or 60 number K file already, and you are inserting a very thin file. These files will not bind to the walls in cases of open apex. So what you can do is you can use a broader file, or for example, use a 40 number, 60 number. That file, is very, it binds the canal very snugly, very little bit. Okay. So use a larger diameter file that easily goes in and out of the canal, whereas it also binds the canal. So use a file that binds the canal a little bit. Okay, so that is my next clinical tip. So with that, I suppose I have answered all your questions. Still, if you have any queries, I would love to answer you. Just mention in the comment section and let us know what video would you like to watch next. So cheers, have a good time.